Oh, crap.
Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest in the series that we've been doing. Actually, this is kind of a follow-on to the series we did before the Charlie Kirk assassination, September 10th, 2025. We started Manchurian Candidate, and then the Epstein files dropped, and we've done 5 shows on that. Last one was about Salo, I think. No, actually it wasn't. It was about some other movie. Maybe it was Salo. But I've been out of town for a couple weeks. I'm back in the saddle. And we've been wanting to do this show AI. Or this film AI, which came out in AI came out in 2001. Actually, I think it was released in June of 2001. And it was a follow-on on information from Kubrick. And Sean and I have done tons of shows on Kubrick and Eyes Wide Shut. And this is, you can see the name, very familiar name if you know Kubrick's work. Jan Harlan is involved in this. Spielberg's involved in this. And also Jude Law, Haley Joel Osment. Oh, yeah, that's right. The last show we did was Blink Twice, which had Haley Joel Osment in it, too, which is very strange, which also involved amnesia. But I think these guys are going to talk more about that. It was kind of their idea to come up with AI. But I started watching the movie, then researching Epstein files and some of these other people about robotics and AI and adaptive thought and LLMs and all that stuff pops up all over Epstein. He financed some of that stuff. He was close to them. Of course, the people involved, like anybody involved in a criminal enterprise, they always try to play dumb and also distance themselves from the crimes, the great and grotesque crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, which are still ongoing. Like, it's so strange to watch Melania Trump roll out yesterday or the day before and deny involvement, but you're pictured with him and your husband's all over the files. He's lying like a freaking rug. But anyway, welcome to the show, both Hans and Sean. Anybody want to talk? You're both muted, so there's go on mute.
Sure. Sorry,
Sean. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, thank you. I had trouble getting in here. I was using a different browser, and I got all.
We're like, what happened to Sean? Sean got reprogrammed. Someone set his MK trigger codes, and he's out on the street service. He's working for his living. No,
yeah,
like the movie. You got the introductory code or whatever for the kid, for David or Haley Joel.
Right. I got a screenshot of that for you, Hans, because you asked me to get that.
I have some screenshot. I have some PDF files too we can cover, like the Epstein stuff if you guys want.
Good. I just hello, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you guys for being here again. I enjoyed our time together. This is great. And so yeah, I have always thought that AI continues the same ideas that I was putting forth regarding Eyes Wide Shut, where the grown, well, all the women basically of Eyes Wide Shut are multiples. They're programmed multiples, slaves for the cult. And that kind of continued from The Shining, where Danny was a multiple. He wasn't programmed like the others, but he had gifted, he had these gifts of psychic abilities due to the reaction to the trauma and what his brain is doing. So anyway, we've been going deep into the trauma-based mind control that is satanic ritual abuse that applies to Eyes Wide Shut. Now, after understanding that, now when I see AI, I see it as an allegory, or like a metaphor for the child altar inside and the experience of the child who, and Hans, I know, agrees. He has some thoughts that will augment this idea, where we see. I mean, it's pretty obvious who would want a total slave child that will do anything. Somebody like Epstein, somebody like Epstein's friend there. I guess we're probably going to be looking at the EFTA document regarding the robot sex doll that is in the Epstein files. So this movie relates directly to Epstein in that way, where friends of Epstein wanted to create a robot sex doll prototype. And he said in the document, we're probably going to read it, how this will help to sell this. We can have this prototype to show, and it'll sell itself, obviously, and it also relates to the victims of Epstein and how their abuse as a child freezes their mind, this portion of their mind, forever in the child altar. And it's frozen forever, never grows old, always has the same predictable will, can be controlled easily, and so on. So I guess I just wanted to get that all out at the start, and I'm excited to see where we go with this conversation.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Sean. I also have been it's kind of AWOL from posting, so I will. I just I wanted to see how things are going to play out. It's like, well, get ready, for the the Juba. They it's kind of sad. The Juba daycare van. They erased the frog off the van now. It's just nearby. It's Somali daycare they got. But that being said, so this is it's not. I mean, this shows the Epstein within the context of the broader culture to show how we are. I mean, Epstein is it's a revelation, of course, but to understand it really frames things in a very different paradigm, a different way, a conceptual way to look at this. So even this particular movie, if you put this within this much broader context, and so one thing I looked into about this film, and just again, I hadn't seen it for a while. This is a movie that, generally speaking, I would assume is going to be for probably a younger audience. It has a kid protagonist, kind of like E.T. Even though a lot of it, there's a lot of stuff that is going to be types of programming or triggers for programming. And in fact, if you analyze it as a breakdown of the sequence of creating not only creating like sort of automaton person, but the fracturing of the person into multiple different cells that can be triggered and how their subconscious operates, right? So basically, when these sort of dissociated states, these different personalities are constructed, they're sleeping, right? They're basically in fantasy worlds, right? And there's different personalities that can come forward at different times, etc. So this really kind of shows that degree of this programming, but also that the pedophilia aspect is very apparent. And if you look at it in the context of where we are now, again, the Epstein files, I did reference the Fritz Springmeier book. I went back and started reading that again. I'm like, whoa, because before when I first saw that, I thought this guy, it's a little bit far out. I'm not gonna. Now looking at that again in this context, I'm like, this may be 100% or 98% correct. And this is the level we are living in. We're also living in a culture that is continuously creating subconscious programming protocols, right? So a lot of the film is going to be perceived unconsciously, especially for a little kid, right? So I'll leave it there. But yeah, I think it should be a quite interesting discussion here. And I do have a sort of overview in that PowerPoint if you guys want to look at that, or just do whatever.
Yeah, let's start with that. Why don't we just start with that? Do you want to go through it? Are you able to use the arrows?
Yes, I can. So this is the world's fastest PowerPoint. I just typed up my notes and just like scram. So AI and drama-based programming. You guys feel free to chime in also. So I think the film AI. Just a quick overview. It's a 2001 Steven Spielberg film. With all this Spielberg, big production hallmarks. I think Sean could better serve to talk about Kubrick's original vision for the film. So it's both a Spielberg Kubrick, project. I think it's kind of a forgotten movie, actually. I don't think many people remember this movie at all. But it is, the basic story is, it's in the future. And so they have these things called mechas, right? The mecha Mecca, like like the Mecca, the Holy Land. So these are mechanical. These are like humanoid robots, right? And interestingly enough, when we see the brain of this humanoid robot, it's a black cube, just like the Kaaba. It's also a black cube, like the cube of Saturn. But anyway, so it's about this kid. They get this kid. Now they do say in the film that their son had died, but then he comes back. That's kind of weird, right? They said your son. I remember the dialogue. They said your son died, so you get this replacement kid.
It was cryogenics. He did die. They brought him back to life. Yeah, because the future technology. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So in the film, you get this. So basically, and I'll let Sean talk about some of the opening scenes, where he tells the mind controlled slave to strip and all this stuff and just showing the full command and control. But this is this adorable little boy that is a replica of their supposedly dead son. And so he comes and he's like, and so a lot of it is about this type of bonding and attachment, which is a big part of also this sort of trauma-based control, because you have to start out. There is also like this is attachment theory. You can look at basically attachment theory, how this early childhood affects people their whole lives, etc. This is just like sort of the little opening. If you,
it's an interesting. You use that word replica because that's what they called the robots in Blade Runner, replicants, right? So they have this other kind of synonymous name in this one, mechas or mechas or whatever like that. So it's the mecha bio duality throughout this film. But they started off it's interesting because there is a hint of this woman being a sex robot right at the beginning. So I think they intentionally kind of made her like a little bit more scandalous than they needed to be. But I think there was that hook was there right at the beginning when Hurt is doing the intro talk or whatever like that. I think it's intentional. So you see kind of weird things like that through this film like that. I think that hint is there. Right from the beginning, actually. Right from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I would assume this is for younger children. I mean, it's not, it's marketed towards that. It has all the, and of course, protagonist. But I'll just go through.
And the symbolism is there, guys. There's also the teddy bear type stuff, which you see through the Epstein files. So that's the known pedo symbol and stuff like that for amongst pedos. So the pedo people know it. And I could just do a whole show on like creepy people holding teddy bears, and teddy bears in modern culture too. There's a lot of them in like video games, but also like Jimmy Savile, who's in the Epstein files, things like that.
Right, Jimmy, you'll fix it. Had the one-eyed teddy bear who was all beat up, and there was a lot of Eyes Wide Shut. Had a lot of teddy bears. That was all over that movie too.
All over.
Yeah. This is a new David is a new prototype, right? So they have these, like, it looks like a sex slave, and he makes a joke about there's a Japanese dude who's working in the company and saying, oh, you always try out the models, right? And so he goes to the woman and he said, how do you love? He's like, oh, I raise my heart rate, I blink my eyes, I do these physiological symptoms, right? The difference is that this particular mecha with the black cube in his brain he's a emotional system, right? So he has an activated identity protocol. So it's an imprinting, irreversible attachment, right? So these are creating imprinting programming. It's installed love, and it's also he is in his consciousness is bound by code, so he can execute emotional directives. One thing that Fritz Springmeier mentions is that they get people that they're trained to enjoy being tortured, right? If they activate this particular protocol of their programming, they will just hurt me more. You know what I mean? So they becomes, and they love the person hurting them, and this is programmed, right? This is a programmed emotional response.
I wanted to bring up the beginning. You said that I could talk about the how he asks her to get naked. Just that's a couple like big like red flags right in the beginning, where it opens and he's talking about like man has always wanted to have a slave, basically a total slave. You know what I mean? And like all through history, it's been like enslaving and having slaves. That's what history is. And And then he goes over to what we think is a regular person in the crowd, and he takes a needle and he stabs her right in the hand, like almost between the knuckles. And when I saw that, I thought immediately of Bryce Taylor's book, Thanks for the Memories, because Henry Kissinger used to use needles in Sue Ford's fingers, in between her knuckles. He would stab her to make certain altars come up. And then after he stabs in the movie, after he stabs the woman, he says, "Get undressed." And she just starts getting up in front of everybody and getting undressed. And there's all of us viewers are watching thinking, why would that woman just get undressed in front of everybody with no shame, because we think she's still human, right? But this is the same, like, give some pain and then an instruction, and this thing will follow your orders, and it will even get undressed in front of everybody and fully give its body to the, and it seems like Spielberg tried to, oh, that's far enough. Like, she gets her jacket off, and then Spielberg's like, but why would he even ask for
the suggestions there? That's what it's playing in the viewer. Is there's my sex slave, and that is a full-on hypnotism thing. And William Joseph Bryan used to do that too. So that is like right on par with programmers. Is this pain and then suggestion? It's actually references Ericksonian hypnotism, right? You shock the system and then suggest. Right there from the beginning, right there from the get-go.
So it's almost like this should fit with the Manchurian Candidate series as well as the Epstein series. You know,
you're right. Good point.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And so, you know, and I did see this Tolkien that he mentioned, so I was trying to freeze frame. It looks like she's reading. They're playing hide and seek when he first comes. The mom is in the toilet. He opens the door. She's reading, I think, was a book on Freud, isn't it?
No, Freud on Women.
Freud on Women. She's reading that on the toilet, and the kid opens the bathroom door. And that is like, Woody, I mean, you want to be a little more blatant than that. Of course, it's so fast that it's subliminal, right? So it's a subliminal message. You know, no viewer. I mean, I saw it. I wasn't able to pause it to confirm that.
That's pure Freud, though. Like, you're going to you get into Freud's genital fixations and all that stuff. Like, she's in the bathroom and he's seeing her. It's total Freud.
Yeah.
Get into all this weird anal world, you know.
Yeah.
Crap.
So I just want to, so these slides I have, these are like sort of the mirror image of the different selves. So these are from different junctures in the movie. One of them, we'll get to that, the flesh festival of life, right? So, and then the other one is he goes and sees all these different versions of himself. But I just want to read this quote from Fritz Springmeier, real quick. And again, this is a book. When it first came out, I thought I could not, I just thought it was just, I'll be honest, I thought it was pretty wacky. You know what I mean? I thought, the guy's done a lot of research. He may have gone a little too far. But let me just read this and check this out, okay? So there are different types of sexual slaves, but the Illuminati wants to get beta alters, which are sharp, talented, skilled, and resourceful. They will use these beta alters, such as the Black Widow alters, for espionage and blackmail. To make sure that the child's mind develops properly, the baby will be interacted with so that those areas of the brain that are important to develop will develop to the maximum. It is a well-known fact that areas of the brain grow according to how much stimulation and use of that area the brain receives. For this reason, grand dames who are involved in programming will spend time drawing and showing faces to the child and seeing if the child can recognize identical faces. Almost any other item will be used, candy canes with stripes, matching the candy cane trees or pencils. The child must learn to match identical items very early, even before they can speak, so that they will be able to build mirror images into their mind, right? So they're making an inner mirror of the external world. And I can go through, but so the mirror images, for instance, silks and cottons can be used for the sense of touch. The child will have to match textures, abilities in copying, repeating, reflecting, echoing, re-echoing, and mirroring. These will be taught for hours how to re-echo something verbatim. Anyways, so these are like, walls, house. So they basically are programming all these elements into the mind, right? So again, we're looking at this film in a certain way as not only an example of how programming is done, but in a sense, you could look at the character as this is all his programming, right? All the different selves and these interacting worlds.
Right. So like the robot kid is going through some kind of like mental state. It's like he's going through some kind of like, progression, right? From his awareness of himself, right? References to Pinocchio and all that stuff. So it's like that's what the whole arc of the film is really trying to find himself or trying to become human, right?
Yeah, he's trying to become human with the blue fairy, the blue fairy thing. So it's interesting again. So this is like this goes to Lacanian, psychology, the inner mirror stage, right? And again, this imaginary world that this. So what I'm saying is that if you look at him, at least some of the characters, right? Maybe he starts out he doesn't know, and then he's waking up. Oh, here I am, my identity, and then maybe he's starting to realize that he's programmed. So I think you can see this almost a reversal, right? It's almost like by the end of the movie, we see he's underwater for thousands of years, just staring at the blue fairy underwater with his eyes open for thousands of years, frozen. That's the end of the movie. That is a great metaphor for the real self that is submerged within this type of programming process. It's literally frozen,
I got the feeling of Stranger in a Strange Land because there's a couple sequences at the bottom of the pool. That's how Heinlein's book starts out with Valentine. You know that? That's what Valentine likes to do is sit at the bottom of the pool and think.
Huh.
Did you see that connection?
I remember that. I was like, yeah, wow. Good. Yeah.
Stranger in the Strange Land.
Interesting.
Manson's favorite book. That's why he named his kid Valentine.
Wow.
Sean, I was just reading. I think you dropped out, but
I'm sorry. Yep, I had to because I want to share, and it wasn't allowing. I had to go to a different browser.
Yeah. Anyways, if you look at this programming protocols, again, Fritz Springer, I'll read real quick. So essentially, they're building structures within the mind, right? And they're actually changing the structure of the human mind for this, right? So again, if it starts from childhood, I'll read just a little bit more about that and apply it to the film. So the head programmers will have their own little mottos about building solid structures, which they like to express to new trainees. These are people that are being trained to do this programming. These include an unstructured house. Mind of the slave is like unto a house without walls. Okay, unstructured house, right? A house undisciplined is like unto a house without walls. It will crumble within itself. And a divided house against itself will not stand. In order to build a solid, good house, one needs to have a solid foundation. And in order to build solid foundation, one needs to know where the land lies, etc. So the natural lay of the land. So they're basically, talking about John Gittinger and his, but so basically you're looking at the abilities of the person, you're looking at their particular things, you're looking at neurological structures, and you're building these, you're building these complex systems within the mind of the person, right? That can be activated.
Yes, exactly. And what is that protocol? Those series of words that was said to him. I have some images that are kind of discombobulated, but
do you want to, if you have time, you can do it after I do my presentation. You can put them together in a slideshow right now.
Okay.
Well, wait, do you know how to use Google Slides?
I can order them. I didn't label them.
Take your time. We got time.
Okay. All right.
Once we finish Hans's presentation, we can go to my
Okay. I don't have much. It's just a few images that help to reiterate what Hans is saying right now. That's all.
Oh, you can bring them up too. I mean, you can bring them into the thing. Hans, you are muted.
You're muted, bud.
Yeah. So just to specify again, if you look at the coding protocols, if you look at the NLP, the first books, the hardcover leather-bound books, they have all these codes, right? They're codes, they're formulas, right? Cybernetics, you're creating formulas of the personality. Even with the MK Ultra system, and this system, they have periods in life. They have basically like types of personality, internalized or flexible, adaptive. These are Gettinger's personality assessment system. So this assessment system is used to create particular codes showing how the system is being programmed, right? With the different, there's basically, it gets, they said there's 1,728 types of markers for these 4 modifications of personality types. But anyways, okay, so it looks like you're reading that. It's quite a disturbing book. So I'll go through this. So again, with this, we have surface narrative, right? A childlike AI navigating abandonment and longing, deeper symbolic layer, programming, trauma, identity fragmentation, and control systems. All right, should I just keep going? Okay, you guys feel free to jump in whenever.
This is exactly what the Manchurian Candidate stuff was. I mean, Grok the Clown and all that. Like, it's all the same. Fritz should have been there for those episodes.
For people who don't know, Springmeier's still around. I know he was interviewed this year, 2026. I think he's getting up in age, but somebody has his contact information. Email it to me or one of us, because we should have him on the show. That should be our next show, actually.
That would be fantastic. Actually, I know people who know people. I'll see if I can.
If somebody has his contact, email it to me. That's the best way to do it, guys.
Yeah, and this is in the 90s, right? And so this is way before, there's also the occult aspect, right? There's stuff called moonchild programming, right? And this is done in the womb, right? So there's all, so the Manchurian Candidate, we're looking at more like kind of a binary system. So if we look at these, at least in this case of the child, right? The child programming can be programmed into multiple layers of different roles, different functions, they even have like they have like the death, if you get too close to the programming code, suicide programming or murder programming, or so they have multiple photographic memory programming, sex slave programming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And so it's a lot of this does use media, right? So they're able to also trigger multiple people through media signals, right? I mean, so like just today, I think there's 11 mass shootings today. I looked at the mass shooting tracker on April 11th, 11 shootings today, 11 mass shootings, guys. There we go. So this is, the identity fragmentation, and I'll leave off the Springmeier stuff for now, but go ahead.
One more thing, that you got the image of David on the table being operated on. I took another image from a different angle as well. This is important because a lot of kids that are being programmed, they have false surgeries to convince them that they are altering their body forever, and like Laura Worley was told that they were putting a tree inside her body. Like, I mean, so this operation allows them to, this is an experience for the child, and it's changing his body forever. And it's like, it's permanently imprinting on the child, like, oh, now I am different. You know what I mean? It's like a transition point from the old to the new, you know what I mean? So the memories can be built around that, and they can say, oh yeah, we installed a demon into your, we put a hard drive in there, we put a tape recorder inside, now you're a tape recorder, like this, that can be used for the programming.
Absolutely. And again, and this is where, though, that, I just stress this, is that, so like, again, going, there's different layers of the film, obviously. Even that nude guy, right? It looks like that demon Paimon. They're in the Emperor. There's a nude guy, the Emperor in those clothes inside the factory. But that movie Hereditary, it's the same as the painting, same style, and even same figure as the Paimon demon in that film. Whether that's relevant.
Riding a sedan chair, right?
Yep.
It's the people holding the chair that he's sitting in, right?
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. So we have fragmentation. We have imprinting. Right. So this is imprinting. And again, the movie. We watch a film. We are getting our unconscious minds imprinted. Right. When you watch television, the main thing about that, it puts you into the alpha state. And it turns out that I I was right about this in terms of the actual scientific. If you look at the earlier research, your beta awareness is supposed to be your awakened consciousness, right? People now try to escape their beta state, right? Because there's so much stress. Well, it's because your alpha state, you're living in the fantasy, and your internal state is this beta. And if you're directing all that inside, you get caught in loops. You know what I mean? You're really screwed. So this programming and imprinting is going on the subconscious minds societally, right? And then much more specifically and intergenerationally. But these movies, they build up layers of coding, right? Think about the sitcoms everybody watched, right? Think about All in the Family. Think about, like, I used to be called Han Solo, man. I'm still trying to get over that. No, but, or, hey, whatever, but these shows, I mean, they imprint you, these movies, these cartoons, especially what you see when you're a little kid. This is all being written in your your unconscious mind. This is giving you your map or your modeling of the world to a lesser degree as the slave, right? Or the mind controlled slave. So anyways, we have the core programming, the imprinting protocol. So, and then how about so she reads a sequence of words which activates the protocol. That's very important. These sequences of specific words are what are used to activate, right, the particular MK slave or whatever, the mind controlled slave or whatever. And so, and according to Springermeyer, that you get like people have binders. If you're the owner of this, you're the handler of that slave, you have the binder with all the codes. You flip through, you read a certain set of words. This will activate. For the non-handler, they'll use tactile things like putting needles in their fingernails, right? This will also be used for that.
Also, each, like, the children that are programmed with SRA, they each have like a little black book that gives instructions. And when the child is being loaned out for however many hours for whatever duties it's being loaned out for, that book will be given to the person who's buying the child for those hours, so that he can use those trigger words and those, it's mapped out, and it's shareable amongst the abusers. So you want to rent my kid, you want the dominatrix version, here, say these words, and it's so that's another thing. So just like this, what the doctors give him, say these words, cirrus, tulip, same idea. So all of a sudden his mind changes.
Did he say serious? Did he say serious in the movie, or Siri? Serious, or I guess it's a homonym, huh?
Cirrus. Like the astrological, I think. Not serious. No.
Okay, because I thought he mentioned the dog star. I wasn't sure.
Did you get those words?
Clouds. Yeah, I got them. It's shared right now if you want to share, William, what I shared.
Gotta take this down.
Okay. So yeah, step 1, speak these words clearly and slowly in order: cirrus, Socrates, particle, decibel, hurricane, dolphin, tulip. Any of you Davids out there, I'm sorry, I just programmed you. Anyway, state your name, then state the name of the cybertronic child, and then repeat your name. That's the step. And it says where on the forehead, on the back of the neck to touch while you're doing it. Quick startup instructions, it says, imprinting protocol. So that was just to share for that.
Yeah, well.
Yes, so that's, and that's, we see here, again, these are, protocol systems. And this is, if you look at people reading, you look at Sirhan, right? That's a great example of that. Yeah. So I just go through this real quick. Okay. So imprinting programming, this is like core. So you have like a core level of programming, right? But it's also based upon trauma. So the fundamental programming is love, right? It's love programming for the mother. Yet the and that's the psycho little living teddy bear, which is like super creepy. Like the teddy bear is quite a creepy
Yeah.
thing in the movie, man. But
It's Jiminy Cricket. It's like to the Pinocchio, it's like his conscience, and he helps guide his way, and he knows more. And he's like, he's the if David is Pinocchio, the bear is Jiminy Cricket, right?
yeah, well, and just there's a guy named John Bowlby. A lot of this literature, on attachment theory and how, the particular how you affect and these imprints that are done to children will can affect their entire lives, and then how these can be done either through the parents. The parents can be guided to do them. They can be done on purpose. But this early attack, I mean, this can affect your entire everything that happens the rest of your life, and you won't even know. You won't even remember it, right? But anyway, so the imprinting is love, but yet she and we talked to the pool, of course, the pool scene. There's okay, that's a weird one. There's a lot of underwater imagery, like going in the subconscious, etc. But basically, he gets rejected, right? He gets the mother takes him and drops him off in the forest. And then so the forest that also, so you have this programming, you have this rupture, and I'm sure there's various symbolic layers of that the forest, right? But so you have this internal contradiction. You could say this operational double bind, right? So this double bind, the more trauma they get, the stronger that imprinting programming is. The stronger the core matrix of the programming, right? But the whole time, as we see at the end of the movie, his actual identity is underneath the ocean, staring at the angel, which is the blue fairy, which is quite creepy. Do you guys want to say something on that?
That's very good to mention the water and the submerging in water. He chooses to die by jumping in water. I mean, the robot human, the first artificial human, decides to kill itself. I mean, how this is definitely a Kubrick movie. I mean, really a lot to think about. But he kills himself by submerging into the underwater, into the subconscious mind, and like going there and being content to stay there forever and never come out to the front self, just to have no will anymore and to give up. And that learned helplessness too. Oh my God. Learned helplessness is such a huge piece of their programming, that all of this is happening to him. He can't really, he's just following this dream of a blue fairy, which was given to him. I mean, in the movie, they act like, oh, it's such a miracle that love inspired him to create this adventure. But he was told where to go the whole time. And, anyway, I'm sorry. Kind of went off on a bird walk, but yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the subconscious and the water and the freezing too. How he's frozen for another 2,000 years, right? 2001, and the whole AI of 2001 and what all that means. I mean, this is not the first movie with artificial intelligence that Kubrick made. In the 2001, we couldn't trust the thing and we had to kill it. And just like the parents decide here, like, oh, we can't trust this thing, we need to dismantle it, just like what Bowman did. So it's the first one was cold, it wasn't doing love, but it was programmed with the mission. And the mission is the most important thing, right? And just like the child is programmed with this, his mission is to be devoted slave. And it's really, it goes deep. I'll stop. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just say okay. I'll just kind of blast through this. So, anyways, this is a guy. We'll talk about him later. His gigolo there, the gigolo, the sex slave that knows he's a sex slave, and there's some very blatant references to pedophilia I mean, in fact, a direct reference, right? Oh, we make girls also your age, and they do what I do. Basically, there's whatever that quote is. But anyways, so trauma, abandonment, identity fracture, and so we see him in the forest with the teddy bear, right? So this is like that lost in the woods, right? This is a terror, right? This is terror, right? And so, and in a sense, this is also like inside his own mental landscape. He's lost in these woods, right? You can't wake up. You're in this space. There's no way out. And you've got your teddy bear, which is another fractional identity that's controlling or speaking with yourself, right?
The wood is also heavily prevalent in fairy tales. The lost, like the dark, scary woods. The fairy tales use that a lot, and those same fairy tales are used for the imprinting of these trauma-based dissociative identity individuals. Like they use Wizard of Oz, and they use Alice in Wonderland, and those types of stories often feature these dark, scary woods that even Where the Rainbow Ends, has a dark wood where the children are lost in.
Well, yeah, and this evidence, right? We talked about the Omega Man, right? Just going out there waiting for the aliens
Right.
in the buff. Hey, I'm the savior. What level of dissociative already, even though you're at not maybe that super top of the heap, but you're really successful, right? By any measure, you have succeeded in your life completely. You've got it all, and in a matter of months, you're insane. Why? Because these things are ongoing in multi dimensions of basic. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that these types of protocols can be embedded in education systems. They can be embedded in movies. They're embedded in how people are taught to be parents, right? Daycares, all this stuff is there. And then we'll go to the next one and we see the fun stuff, right? Okay, Blue Fairy. I think you guys would say more about that from Pinocchio. You want to say something on that, William, or no? Okay. Hogging. So now this is the fun part, right? The flesh fair. The flesh fair. They're captured by the artificial moon. David Icke. He didn't get it from this movie, did he? I hope not. They have this big artificial moon, right? And
the fake moon. Not landing, I guess, but anyway, go ahead.
He's abandoned.
Little Kubrick joke in there. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. The fake moon area. True. Yeah. That's a great. You're right. I ever thought about that. But basically, he's abandoned by his mom in the forest, and he meets these other AI humanoids that are also been abandoned, and then they have this. It looks like the moon is coming over the horizon. It turns out it's a fake moon that looks like a real moon, and they're hunting these creatures to take them to the flesh fair, where they're going to be tortured and sacrificed for the entertainment of the audience.
So anybody that reads SRA Survivors will know this is something that is done. They set little children loose in the woods late at night, and the predators hunt them. They hunt them. Kathy O'Brien talks about it. I think Bryce Taylor talked about it too. There's many where the kids are set loose into the darkness, and then when they're caught and raped by one of the pedophiles, the predator will steal an article of clothing, and then the kid continues to run and scream, and another one catches them, and then the kid continues to run and scream until they're fully naked, and they're just running, and the kids are running around naked, and all the predators love that. Terror. I mean, it's one of the sickest things ever, and this is an oblique reference to that.
Like, you don't know what's going on in some. I mean, just to tie it into Epstein, like, weird stuff is going on Zorro. Hank Harrison's talking about that. I just published this thing where they're hunting down deer on Little St. James, but it's not a big island. There shouldn't be any wildlife over, like a rat or something. Like, it is so strange. Like, and then there's actually direct things about hunting. They call it moon crickets. It's the weirdest thing because it ties into this film, which was talking about moon. But do you know what moon cricket is? You ever heard the
No.
term moon
No, I
cricket?
have not.
It refers to black people. And there's literal like a
Wow.
something, yeah, there's something in the episode, so I'll bring it up, where like they're hunting black people at night.
Wow.
Like somebody's doing it, like it's redacted, whoever the sign, but it's in the files. I'll bring it up.
Jiminy cricket too, like
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
weird.
Pinocchio.
And there's another one where they he's talking to Rothschild, and she's Ariane de Rothschild in France. It's like, oh, we had a great hunt last night. Like, it's very but it's not. It doesn't. She doesn't sound like a hunter of animals.
Right.
Very
And the deer could be just a code word, just like handkerchief or map or whatever. Like, you know,
The Epstein files are replete with code words. It's like a mob. You have to have like a dictionary to understand what they're talking about. And that's like one of the great things about the attempted cover up is the guys didn't even understand who were covering it up. They didn't understand these are code words, like all these food things and I'm bringing you cream cheese and stuff. They had no idea, man. None.
They really like pizza, these billionaires, you know.
Pizza, grape soda, a lot of jerky, just tons of stuff, man.
Handkerchief. Right. Well,
just like we showed in that video, like the video that I showed you of the guy associated with Epstein, talking with Epstein, Samuelson or whatever, I can't remember his last name, but like literally had that clip of the pizza being thrown into the Bale oven and the girls over there folding handkerchiefs.
Right. Yeah, handkerchief. And then you also showed us Donald Trump receiving Domino's at his house. You know, with the Tesseract, golden Tesseract.
And the Tesseract's in this movie too. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it's there.
I've got an image here. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I wonder if Sean saw this.
Of course, yeah. Was it the hair? Was it the hair that you're talking about?
I think it was the carpet, just like in Epstein's Island.
Yes.
The carpet.
All right. I have an image since we're talking about it here.
One other thing too. One other tie into Kubrick before we get going, but close to the scene for It on Women and the pedo bear, they're going up and down the spiral staircase, and that's how it starts in Eyes Wide Shut. And this is a very Jewish kind of like symbol. It's an occult symbol. It's not really that occult, but inside the temple, the original temple, they had a spiral staircase leading up to higher levels. And it's always been a symbol of like elevation and everything and stairway to heaven and all the stuff. And it pervades this work. I mean, this like, I guess the introduction and stuff, they're going up and down the staircase all the time. Like there's scenes that take place on the spiral staircase. Huh. It's Masonic too. Then of course,
the second degree, right?
Right. So the whole, the ancient Jewish stuff gets, kind of seeps into Masonry and occultism in general.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Luciferian Kabbalism, right? Yeah.
Well, here's the moon, right?
It's not a mistake. It's there for a reason. It's intentional.
Yes.
Well, there we have our moon, right? The flesh fair celebration of life, which is a human sacrifice. But that you have both the desire to create the golem, right? And then you also have the great work of, basically turning, to be able to completely control the human being, right? To completely control and dominate, not only dominate, but to eliminate any even possibility of freedom. And I think we see this Epstein thing. I mean, these guys, they're getting off on the power, and they don't. It's not even sex. It's just this. How can we do deep? I mean, he's saying stuff. It looks like all over the place, including the ritual magic stuff too.
No question about it. Right. I think it's really the power. It goes back to our earlier shows about women as furniture. Right. So it's almost like robotizing the female. And that goes into hypnotism and all these other things. It goes back to Erickson. Robotizing another human being is maybe the ultimate thrill for the elites. Like, yeah. And it goes back into Slave Shall Serve and all the stuff. It all overlaps.
So this here is an image of Teddy watching the hair fall when David snips her hair while she's sleeping. The hair falls directly into the inner square of a square within a square on the carpet, and Teddy watches it fall. And if you think about the hair, think about Eyes Wide Shut and what I revealed to many a long time ago about the hair. There's a scene where Mom Alice is brushing the hair of Helena, and she's holding her hair up, and she's got the same red hair as Mom does, and the mom's hair is in the light. It's bright red, shining light, and she's brushing the hair. And as she holds the hair up, it is in the same line as behind them. There's a set of curtains, and on that line of it, right where the hand is holding the hair and she's brushing, like she's literally grooming, we see a line of green upside down pentagrams, upside down stars, like Satanism. She's grooming the child with Satanism. And that the hair is, I believe, that is a symbol for the programming. And we see that a few times in Eyes Wide Shut. So I just wanted to, because these are images that Kubrick storyboarded this whole thing. Like this, not much of these images came from Spielberg. Spielberg was trying to do it as accurately as possible, to pay homage to his friend Stanley. So this, I interpret this as one of Stanley's images that he put into this film, tying the hair to the other stuff that we learned from Eyes Wide Shut, and it's carrying over that same imagery into this film. So, and we see that a lot of times with his other movies, like he carries a lot of imagery from, say, The Shining or say Full Metal Jacket, and he puts those into Eyes Wide Shut. You know, he reuses those same non-submersible units that we remember, and he uses those ideas and folds them into his new pictures. And that's, I think, this here, the Tesseract and the hair falling right in the Tesseract, because that's the mind control is there inside the inner square. That's where she's trapped. That's the mind is trapped inside that inner cube forever. It's the prison of the mind. So yeah, we talk a lot about the Tesseract on here. It's funny, like I learned it from Mark Passio, and William learned it from me, and and everybody's learning it from William, and it's great that this we're all beginning to understand these symbols.
It shows up all the time. That's what's so crazy. Trump too.
Yeah,
like, he knows all the secret society stuff. Guys, just to let you know, this stream is streaming through my 6 channels, I think Sean's and Hans's. And then, so the chat all comes into the centralized thing on StreamYard. So you don't see it all. We see it all. So I'm kind of filtering it. But if you want to go to the main chat, I think it's on my biggest YouTube channel. And the link is right there underneath. So that's like, there's like 50 people in that chat. If you want to follow on there or go subscribe there, that'll also give you notifications when we do shows. So if the chat's important to you, want to see what everybody else is saying, maybe that would be the ideal or optimal central location to follow the chat, which is great. You guys, you have the comments are tremendous.
This is great. I love that. And maybe when we're done with Hans's portion, we can go to chat in between before we go to yours. That'd be
sure. Yeah.
Because I'd like to answer questions if anybody has any.
I'll get. Yeah, no, and just to say, like, all the symbolism, right? So you have the shape, you have the circular imagery of the spiral staircase. Gives the Borges story, the library of Babylon or Babel or whatever. But I mean, basically, it's a time loop, right? So he's in a time loop. He's in a programmed loop that he cannot escape because the code's been activated. You don't mind bringing up my little rinky-dink slideshow there, William, if you can. Yeah. So anyway, so the flesh fair, again, they're tied up. They're going to be going to have acid poured over them, right? And you see all these kind of broken, old school AI beings. You see some are, repaired. These are like all these kind of fractured selves, right? Within them, you have certain truncated identities, right? Within, if you could see it as occurring within his own mind, or in general, right? So there's at one level, again, we can see this as occurring just in his own mental space, or as a how children are recruited and turned into this stuff, right? Because again, his gigolo savior guy is he's a prostitute, male, female, whatever. He's an expert in sex, and he alludes to the fact that you could this is a way for you to survive too. It's not stated totally directly, but it's there, right? And it's at least subconsciously visible or viable. So again, the celebration of life with the full moon, the goddess, we have, all these things. And I thought just as something about these types of programming, there's basically different types of programming. There's generationally programmed people, and there's also other people that are more expendable, etc. Right? People are recruited, people are bribed, people are paid off, people are criminals, whatever it may be. So, and I'll just say, just real quick, this is like in utero programming, sort of like the child in the movie from Fritz Springmeier. The preparation for someone to be programmed also concerns the ability of the person to be demonized. Generational satanic families are sold out to Satan, and their children belong to Satan in a way that non-generational children do not. Because of the generational curses, because of the genetic bent towards the occult, because of the generational demonic forces, the Illuminati children are very good candidates for monarch programming. Part of the programming includes the layering in of demonic forces and participation in blood rituals in order to draw in the most powerful of demons. The moonchild rituals are rituals to demonize a fetus. However, the demons that are invoked are not the small ones, but very powerful ones. In working with victims of this programming, it is clear that high-level demons were placed within these people at early ages. Blood sacrifices and human sacrifices are always required for this. And then he goes through how this was done in his book, where there's Artemis. Right? Artemis is there in the butterfly net villa where this took place. So I just thought that was interesting there with the moonchild programming and then the moon. So
right, butterfly net also is the secondary title of the book, Butterfly Net. Moonchild was the first title of Crowley's book, and Butterfly Net was the second title, because that represents, like, the butterfly is the soul. Like Psyche, the goddess Psyche had butterfly wings. It's the everlasting, eternal soul, and the net is to control the soul that is incorporating into the body at the point of life, where conception, of where the baby is born, instead of the natural force of soul incorporating into a human. They can manipulate with their butterfly net which soul gets into the baby by doing in the book there was a bunch of moon symbolism. They fed the pregnant woman oysters only, and made her asleep during the day, and did all of these, her entire pregnancy was a ritual which was performed to influence the growing fetus. And according to the occult, it takes 40 days before a soul takes habitation within the fetus, which is silly to me. But anyway, they think that there's that time in between. So at the 40-day point, they are doing this huge ritual to manipulate what comes in. And if they can keep a soul out, then they can let a demon in. You know what I mean? It's like they're controlling the door of this baby. Sorry, you're muted. Okay.
I wrote the resonant state. It's not deep. It's supposed to be the.
It's supposed to be the. It's not TB.
No. I was just so excited. It's I remember.
What's your YouTube channel, Sean? Do you have a
YouTube? Yeah, I'll find it. Yep, it should be.
People can sub there too.
Okay, great.
I actually have had probably 6 or 7. I have one YouTube channel I can't get into, but I was so dumb. I just kept making YouTube channels. Then they all came back. And so now I have multiple stream things. And
yeah, you got a bunch. I subscribe to all of them. It's when you got a new show, there's 5.
I think what I need to do is ask YouTube if they can just put all 3 together as one. I wonder if they could do that, or I could do that.
Who do you talk to?
That would save a lot of my problems, because they get notifications. Some people got really pissed because they got multiple notifications from subscribing to all 3 YouTube channels. So
well,
crazy.
I mean,
All
that's
3
it's YouTube's fault for erasing you so much. You speak too much truth, you know. Every time you get kicked off, you had to start a new one.
Yeah, I got in real trouble with the bioweapon blues one. That was bad. Okay, where we at? Let's go back to the slide.
Well, you know, the Grimm fairy tales, actually, some of these fairy tales, right? So you look at the Brothers Grimm and the woodcuts, these also were used for trauma, right? Some of them, I mean, they're actually used for, these fairy tales are used for types of programming rituals and stuff. And some very traumatic stuff in the Brothers Grimm stuff. I mean, some really hardcore stuff in some of those fairy tales, you know, and lots of, dismemberment, cannibalism, etc.,
Oh, here's the one. I got a good one. There, it's in our chat. It's youtube.com/@Sean Wake the Dead. That's my channel.
Yeah, I just put the link to it in the chat so people can get it. You can go.
Okay. Thank you.
Go click through. Yeah, it is, and it gets confusing. Yeah, it is confusing. I'm confused. So if you're confused, you're just as confused as I am. So
somehow we're making it work, though.
We're making
People
it
are
kinda
listening. Like it's working. There's at least 50 in the one chat, so that's great. I'm glad.
I tried to do it I try to put it on my social media to key into the YouTube channel for the chat. So if you come to the show notified through my Twitter or somewhere else, that's usually the way I do it. But then YouTube sends out its own notifications. So. Anyway.
I just wanted to bring one thing up with the kids. So the Festival of Life, Flesh Fest, whatever, they're in cages, right? So we see the caging, very common. We can go back to Dutroux, right? The cages, children being caged, and this is a big part of this whole thing. And
the cages are in the Epstein files. He's ordering cages.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I meant to find that.
Also,
that cricket one.
What you mentioned, Hans, that makes a lot of sense about how it could be the internal, all the different robots could be other selves and the people on the dog motorcycles, the enforcer motorcyclists that are encaging them, encircling them, and those could be cult loyal alters within the brain, keeping all the other ones in line, and sending them to the lake of fire or wherever they go when they get destroyed. Because a lot of alters in these children are throwaway alters, where they'll do a mistake in the programming, and then they'll send that personality into a dungeon or a lake of fire and dissolve it in, because it's not being used for the purposes of the programmer. It's another way of keeping order within the mind. So Carrie Olahe, my friend, talked about her internal alters and how sometimes the demon, the demonization, the demonizing rituals convince the kid that a demon is in there, and that demon gives them torture inside the mind, because not only demon but also cult loyal alters. She had her programmer inside her head, a replica of her programmer in her head, doing torturing the selves that are in there. So they only had to violently rape and abuse as a child, and then after 7 or 8 years old, they can just bring up those memories. They don't need to physically hold the person to, I mean, they might, to satisfy whatever ritual, but still, those memories stay inside, locked away forever. And each one of those selves is frozen at his or her age. So there's many, what they call littles. Littles are like the child alters inside, who they break off when the trauma happens to save the core self. So anyway, those dog things could be they could be the enforcers, the cult loyal alters that reside within the mind. That could be another allegory for that.
Right Wing Nuck says you should set up a stream bar so it automatically uploads to all channels. It streams to all my 6 channels. So it streams to 3 YouTube, X, Rumble, and Rockfin, guys. So it's already out there.
And it streams to Hans and Sean.
Right. So it restreams to all these different sites, guys.
I want to apologize for saying I had the most popular YouTube channel in the world.
What?
I had 90 subscribers. I'm like, that's the most popular. I didn't realize people have more than that. I'm just kidding. Just a stupid joke. But going back to what you said though in the beginning, he'll never age. He's always going to be the same age. So we see that frozen programming, and also there's programming where you think you're a robot, right? You think you're not a living being and you're frozen in that state. And then we get to the end of the movie. We see that it is right there. It is right there in your face of what, happens, right? We go to the aliens and all that crap, but I mean, yeah, so so I think, you know what I mean? You can see it as this is like almost the state, and in a certain way, if you look at a little kid watching this movie with all these, it's got to be pretty traumatic because you're there. Oh, I have mommy, and then mommy throws me out. Mommy throws me to die, and and I mean and then there's the hunting ritual, with the moon, and it's like hunting the humans, whatever, and then they're gonna be there, but because he's a child, they decide to let him live. Why? Is he more valuable?
Right. Hold on. This is the thing that I was talking about earlier about the snipe hunt. And this has some pretty vivid, Epstein was a full racist, like Goyim and stuff like that. But the snipe hunt, I didn't know what these words, I didn't know what a moon cricket was. Snipe hunt is over, moon crickets and field bag. Guess what? They're N words. So they're like hunting people or something. Like that's the suggestion from that. And then I had this, somebody sent me something about what a moon cricket was. This is it.
Field bag seems pretty clear that they're...
Yeah, that's a hunting term. Moon crickets is a rare old racial slur for black people. It shows up in the batch of the Jeffrey Epstein files. So data set 9. Let me see if I go ahead. Let me see if I can find the one about Rothschild. There we go. Hunting. Rothschild.
Yeah, I read, I think it was Bryce Taylor's book, talked about George H.W. Bush did those hunting parties. And he called the kids Bush babies. He's, oh, my Bush babies. And Poppy Bush was for, because of his babies, Bush babies. It wasn't only because he was smuggling heroin for the British Empire. It's also because of the whole Bush babies situation and the hunting parties. And that was just one of the many terrible things he did. He was into little boys.
He was all over. He's involved in mentioned in many instances, including Epstein, but Franklin and all kinds.
Oh yeah, Franklin scandal.
And then where's the other one?
Oh, the Italy and stuff. There's a recent case of those cases of people being hunted, right? I mean, these things will show up in the news and they'll disappear, right? You know what I mean? And if you don't archive them, you may not find it again. And that's also our AI world, I'm so glad though that I think Trump is going to live forever. And he's going to end up being like,
once they upload him to the cloud, right?
He'll just be permanent Hi, I'm Trump. I just watched the movie Lucy, which is also a pretty tripped out film, right? I am everywhere, right? So wherever you go, hey,
right?
I mean, it's like find your inner Trump. You'll never escape. He's, there'll be
and the Trump derangement syndrome is so hardcore with everybody. They don't want to let him go. They want to keep him forever as a hologram, just to piss people off all the time, every time, every day. He's such an effective tool for them. You know what I mean? He's such a lightning rod for anger. Like it's really people going pretty good.
I think I'm trauma bonded to him. The more people hate him, the more I love him. I've got a big like teddy bear.
Oh, you got the Trumpy bear.
Yes,
that's a real thing. Sold. Yes,
oh,
dude.
God.
I had the commercial. I downloaded it. So when he was getting elected the first time, and then the second time they made another one, but it's a teddy bear, Straight up, dude. Teddy bear. We're talking about it right here in this show. Teddy bear, pedo symbolism, the whole thing. There, it's a bear with the wig. It's got like a blonde wig on its head, just like Trump's hair. You know, it's a big comb over, and it's a teddy bear. And you can snuggle it, and then the commercial, it's like, oh, it keeps you warm and safe, and like, they got a picture of a dude like strapping it to the back of his motorcycle. It's like, you can ride it with your hog, and like, so stupid. And there was this guy, like, they had this old man who was named something Warholic, like, and dude, it was ridiculous. And then not only was he a teddy bear, you open up his belly and you pull out an American flag and you use that as a blanket and you snuggle up with your American flag and your Trumpy bear. Dude, isn't that the most sick shit you ever heard? I mean, I'm an anarchist, like, just to like, it's like, oh my God, it's so just it's like looking at maggots. I mean, it's so gross.
This is the one between Rothschild and this is an heir to the Rothschild fortune and Epstein. Got it. Amazing old male and amazing hunt. My bankers should be careful. Like, these are non sequiturs in a normal person's kind of sentence structure. And then Jeffrey goes, great photo. Thanks. Thrilling hunt. Ariandi Rothschild.
And remember all those bankers dying, right? You know, there's a spate, and who knows? My bankers should be careful. Like, amazing old man. So I mean, who knows? You know, that he could just, like, you know, we were just talking pre-show about some of the mysterious deaths, the way people just get off like that, and so who knows? You cross them, you could be in the next one on the hunt.
And there's like ex-bankers making these statements too, like, I was brought into this party and then I was expected to do this, and then there was an after party and I said no, and then his career was over. You know, so same thing happened to these models and these women. There's like two models that went different ways. They're models whose careers took off, and there's ones who got the cold show, or actors. Like, it's like the whole Epstein network. Weinstein is part. Right. Harvey Weinstein is part of the Epstein network. There's absolutely no question about it.
Cat Williams will teach you all about that. Cat Williams says that he goes to those parties and he like sits in the parking lot and he watches all the people come out. He like sees their face and like all how defeated and raped they are. It's really funny.
Yeah, like literal rape.
Yeah.
Rose McGowan, who was a member of the Children of God, that's how screwed up these people are. They're all effed up. She said Harvey Weinstein raped between 1,000 and 2,000 women.
Oh my God.
That is sense. Industrial. That's what's going on in Epstein. That's the whole thing. If he's part of that, and that's what he's raped, who else is involved in these rapes?
It's dumbfounding. Like, Epstein wanted little girls to jerk him off all day long, every day, all day long, every day. You know, Weinstein, he must have been doing it all day long, every day. Like, how can anybody function? Like, how does a normal human like live? You know, I mean, he must have had everybody.
It's like a drug, dude. That's the whole thing, because it's about power. It's like what you guys are talking about earlier. It's not just about the sex. And if you talk to people who are like, where you studied rape and stuff, it's not just about the sex. There's something else going on where they get off on the authority and getting away with it. Like, it becomes kind of like a drug, like Bernardo or some of these other crazy dudes who are just like jumping over, or the Golden State rapists. Like, I mean, just crazy stuff like this. What they got their endorphin rush off the charts.
Well, just like Sallow, right?
Well, I think also, though, if you look at it maybe a more esoteric angle, is that, you know, they have, you know, they're involved in certain forces, energies, pacts, and you have to keep upping the ante, right? You can't stop, right? You got some of these guys, even like, they're like 100 years old, man. The Rolling Corpses, man. They're out there, start me up, you know. And I mean, come on, dude. When you get tired of playing that song, man, you know. I mean, but seriously, like, I mean, that's, you know, you can't, like, you have to keep going. And maybe, you know, so there's also the pleasure increase, like any addiction, but because how do they have to find time in the day, man?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they have like some parallel
crazy
reality.
We have not talked about Yodaroski, but we should. Holy Mountain's a good one. And I've studied Yodaroski in pretty detailed, not really like a full movie breakdown, but he's in my book, Children of the Beast. He's associated with so many other occultists, Marilyn Manson and so many other people. and a self-confessed human blood drinker too.
Well, that movie is
he
like
was-
an occult, right? That's an
he
occult
hired-
working.
Right,
know.
right. And he hired that Start Me Up guy for Dune. Dune was going to have what's his face from the Rolling Stones.
Jagger.
Yeah, Jagger was going to be the guy who played Sting in.
Yeah,
That's why they chose Sting. They're like, who can we get that's just like Jagger?
Harkonnen,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. The evil one that they did the knife fight with.
Fade Ralph, I think was his name.
Yes, right, yeah. So like Yodaroski, if you listen to him talk though, and like I can't help but love that dude. He really is a great artist. I mean, but I can't finish. I never really got to finish Holy Mountain. I can't make it through all the way. Like I get to the part where they're like washing his ass and stuff. I'm like, why am I watching this? Click. But now that I've seen Sallow, I might as well. I mean,
You can watch anything.
I can watch anything.
Sallow. I mean, I had to like, I don't know. I had to like jump in a river and just like
Dude.
take me. I know that movie. But
baptize yourself after.
But I mean, this. Again, this is the people, the masters of the universe that want to integrate the full total control grid. You know what I mean? This is the planning. This is the. We go back. I remember. Right at COVID, they have the big world map. With the coronavirus and all the WEF. This is all that they want to integrate and situate. And then again, that's the uploading. Once you are uploaded into this machine, or once you get that implant, you are, I mean, unless you really get some super high power or whatever, you're gone. And this is worse than physically dying by far, man. But I think, I don't know if you have any of those scientific papers, William, but like this study, so this, the movie, if I'll just kind of go back to that a little bit, is that, so this, I don't share screen. I don't know if you have any pictures there of the blue fairy. So basically, anyways, he goes through this, let me see if I can just
I think I have
share
some.
this.
Let me find them.
I can see if I can share this screen. Work. No. Window. Shit. Yeah, here we are. Okay. So this is just a few pictures I have here. So if you see those, is that sharing? No. Okay, that's the. So anyways, so this is based upon. So if you look at the attachment theory, right, like disorganized attachment. I mean, these are patterns that afflict people their whole lives, right? It's well understood, well studied, right? So in a sense, he is in this permanent loop state, right? He's in a permanent loop state, just like the Mecca, right? They're called Meccas. You go to Mecca, what do? You walk around a circle around the black cube, right? You just walk in the circle. And this is the loop pattern. So anyways.
It's left-handed too. It's it's Widdershins. They go around counterclockwise.
Yeah. So we see here. So basically, he goes on the quest, to find the Coney Island Pinocchio exhibit, right? And then he, there's lots of vicissitudes and et cetera. But then his buddy, his guide, gets taken away. And he commandeers this submarine, after finding out there's so many other Davids. There's hundreds of Davids. And he kills himself. He smashes the face. He walks into the office. Oh, I'm David. No, I'm David. And he kills the other boy, right? It's like cracks his skull or whatever, right? So he goes, this New York City, then he gets in a submarine. He goes underground, under the water, and going through this very creepy, weird thing. And then here's the blue fairy that will make him come to life. And so he's staring there, and he goes, and he's, emotional, and there's the blue fairy. And then he's there like that for 2,000 years, just staring with his eyes open at the blue fairy, frozen. And then he's rescued by these guys, the aliens. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that up, that it is based on certain types of protocols that are well.
Notice the shape that they're surrounded by this circle, and it's almost like a moon behind them. and they're sitting in the darkness, and that circle behind them, that is a scene that comes up a lot. Like there's this really good photograph. Let me see if I can find it here. Where, yeah, this one. There's this really wonderful photograph where the mom is making coffee in the morning, and it goes from here. Actually, it starts right before the coffee is this scene where David is being dressed by his dad, and the mom is afraid to. Are you sharing? Can you share that, please?
Should I,
There you go. So if you look here, the eyes are broken into many. Like this is a fractured self. There's multiple personalities, right? And then right after that, it goes to this here, and we can see Monica in the center and her head up here. But it starts with like her reflection on the little circle of the coffee lid, and that little tower, she's behind that tower, so she's in the center column. And we see to the right, David's head is round head, and we see his eyes peeking and the reflection on the table of his eyes. And directly across at the same part, like on the exact opposite side of the frame, is the tea kettle, is the same rounded shape. And that round, like it mimics the head, the roundness of his head, which makes us like look at his face and his eyes looking up at the light that's shining on what she's doing. And also in the foreground, it creates a pyramid, like with the elements of the foreground, creates like anyway. So these round, like the round of the moon and the round of his head and the round, like there's a lot of that. And I think that that is part of the visual information being transmitted in this one. So I just wanted to bring that up. And even though I hate Spielberg, he's still a good photographer. Look at the quality of light. Like look at the composition. It's really well done. Just want to say that.
Well, I mean, every frame, I mean, again, the actual what is absorbed is a subconscious. Your subconscious sees everything, even
Right.
sees the 25th frame, right? And so, and I mentioned also the thing with the mouse, right? So he's with the boy, and he almost dies, right? Or has a robot attack because he's eating, they're holding this like the open mouth chewing context.
Right. Here, I've got an image of that here, right here. 1 second.
That's a good question. Candace Owens. Yeah.
What was the question? Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, why is Candace Owens so rigorously defend Harvey Weinstein?
The best night of her life.
Why does Oprah love him so much? Like, come on. Those are powerful black women, and you know what I mean? They got keys to the kingdom.
And she stole our show. So I feel honored, even though
right.
I mean, it's like, but
no, Yodaroski. It's a really hard last name. It's YODORWOWSKI or something. Right. It starts with a J.
Alejandro Yodaroski. He did Holy Mountain. He did El Topo. He was going to do Dune. But they didn't trust him with it. Like he even had funding. He had funding to make the movie, but he didn't have distribution. They were like, nope, we're not going to show your movie. So he had to scrap the whole thing. He had Salvador Dali was going to be the emperor. Like he hired Salvador Dali to be an actor in this movie. Like, I mean, he had Mick Jagger. I mean, it was, he hired Geiger. He hired the team that created Alien. Like without Yodaroski.
Before Alien. Yeah,
exactly.
Before
Alien would not be a movie because he gathered these artists together to make Dune, and he storyboarded the whole thing, made the whole movie ready to go. And then they were like, nope. And the guys were like, well, what do we do now? let's make a movie. And so they wrote Alien, and they made Alien with the same H.R. Giger and the same Mobius, the illustrator who did the storyboards. All of those people worked on Alien. Alien wouldn't have been such an amazing movie if Yodaroski wasn't working so hard to make Dune. And really,
there's a whole documentary about that, the attempt of him to make Dune. But
yeah, everybody should see that. It's called Yodaroski's Dune. It's really good, and it makes you fall in love with Yodaroski, even though he may drink blood, or he may like Crowley and stuff. Like, he does really good art. I mean, at least I don't think he rapes kids. I mean, he's not.
Well, you don't know yet. I mean,
I don't know.
He's drinking blood. He's in that. He's in the scale. He's in the.
I guess
he's hanging out with Marilyn Manson and officiating his wedding, like The Alchemist.
Right. Yeah. That's
we the 2 shows ago we did, Kurt, were about Salo, so you can check that out. I think the title is The Epstein Files. Would you like a spoonful of Salo? If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
No, thank you. It smells like poo.
Yeah.
It's a whole quarter of the film. I think.
Yeah, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm still like traumatized, man. But anyway, so
this is the size of the screen, Diana. It's probably your screen. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm playing around with the screen. There's no question about it.
But, this one here is Monica in the boat reading Pinocchio to them, and this is the same almost as a deleted scene from Eyes Wide Shut. I know everybody's like, oh, deleted scene from Eyes Wide Shut. It's not the 20 minutes, people, so cool your jets. But anyway, there was a scene where they had Bill and Alice and Helena. Bill was rowing a rowboat, and they were like in a little lake, and there's like photo images of it. There was a photographer there that day. But that also recycles the same image from Barry Lyndon, where Barry was in a boat with his son and their dog fishing. So this takes that same element and reuses it again and again. Oh, Geiger was OTO. That figures. Yeah.
He actually did an art piece about Crowley. You can actually find that. It's in my book, Children of the Beast. I write about it.
Right. But by the way, notice the bear, right? So in a certain way, that's the bear is almost the consciousness of the child.
Right, the observer, right.
Yeah. And so even at the end, when they go in the submarine, the bear is sitting right next to him. And so like it's the real self, the mother, and you can see almost this fracturing, right, where he becomes, where he stops being himself and becomes this sort of robotized thing that, once that programming comes, he's no longer in charge of his own autonomy.
Right. Yeah. Geiger did a lot of work. And, people, we should talk about Yodaroski. I should watch that movie. I don't know how. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting how we can keep going back to that, like, oh, look how this is a different personality, and like how, and also he can, like, all of at the end, the alien, well, the robots, they read his mind, and they recreate the people inside, like all the people are inside his head, and all of humanity is still there in his memory, and they can access it. It's interesting how, like, how literal and figurative it can be, like it can be looked at. This is really a wonderful film, very underrated.
So and in the movie, anyways, the alien beings come, they take him out from being frozen underneath the earth. Humanity has all died out. He's the last living thing, even though he's not alive. And they because of that lock of hair, right, that the teddy bear socked away, they can recreate his mother for one day. Right. And I think there's something with the coffee cup and all that. But yeah. And
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, the coffee cup. Okay, so he remembers how to make her coffee, and he makes it for her on that day. So one of the screenplays, like there were a couple. Kubrick has been looking and trying to do this movie since the 70s, and thinking about it. And one of the one of the treatments that he put together, the writer that he had do it, she made the mother an alcoholic. And in that final day, Danny is making her favorite alcoholic drink. And we can see how the alcoholic parent is bad to the children, and it creates trauma. And that goes back to Jack, at the, I give my goddamn soul for just a glass of beer, it ties in all of that stuff. Kubrick wanted that in there too, but I guess it was turned to coffee. But it would have been much more of a deep image and a much more something to think about with traumatic children and the imprinting of children with the parental, nature, nurture, that whole idea of like, what does an alcoholic family create? I'm a product of an alcoholic family, so anyway.
Here's the Cage reference in Epstein stuff. It's EFTA 019722294. I didn't realize they're so big. Are you going to put one of those big cages inside of the big round wall on top of the mountain? So I think he's talking about his place. Birds. Here are the cage photos. Ramon is getting the pricing for me. I've also attached some monkey, lemur, and cat pics. There's options as well. There's no record in any of the stuff that they ever had wild animals at Little St. James. We talked about the animals they had at Zorro Ranch, but they didn't have the cages, and he talked about killing them. But priceless for the birds. Like there's tons of pictures in these files of Little St. James, and there's just no animal cages. There's no sign of anybody carrying birds or taking the birds out or parakeets or toucans or anything. It's just not there. So what the hell are they doing? Like, it's all this pet store in Puerto Rico, Little St. Thomas. Crazy.
Well, no, I think you can see the coding, but how does he even have time to send so many emails on top of his other predilections? I mean, these guys.
He's a ferocious emailer. It's incredible. Like, he's constantly in contact. I think that was really his power, is really like his Rolodex, his digital Rolodex. He's talking to everybody all the time. It's really crazy.
Does he have a secretary? It's probably him personally.
That was her. Shuliak is his girlfriend, but there are also people sitting in. But he had a lot of free time because everybody did everything for him. He got driven around. He's got a butler. He's got a chef. So that opens up a lot of things. You don't even have to cook or go get food. It's just brought to you. It gives you a couple extra hours a day. Do you still have any more slides, Hans?
I have.
You can stop with my stuff. You can stop my share. Go ahead.
I have. You know what? I didn't. I have my notes. I thought that I put it in the PowerPoint, but this. I'll just. So basically, So this is basically, it's a repetition compulsion, and this is called like double bind. The double bind trauma based conditioning, and so we look at. This is, again, Fritz Springmeier. So, quote, so this study presents the theoretical assumption that multiple personality is developed through early childhood state-dependent learning. So state-dependent learning, right? You learn, like they say, state-dependent learning. Who's a famous Zoot Sims, the sax player, is like, how can you play when you're drunk? Because I practice when I'm drunk, right? So that's, it's called state dependent learning, right? And, that's obviously you don't necessarily want to do that unless you want to be an alcoholic, but there's things you learn how to do in certain states, right? I mean, if like sometimes people, like if they're not stoned, they can't, no, not nothing. I mean, I know, like they're like there's certain things they can't do, or they're not in a certain, you know what I mean? Because you've especially childhood, you've imprinted that activity with whatever stimulation. So it's more than just the input. Anyways, furthermore, it is hypothesized that the learning occurs as a result of the hypnoidal effects of childhood trauma, such as abuse and sexual molestation. The child, unable to translate the paradoxical nature of the messages he receives, fragments into a trance state. Furthermore, it is suggested that memories incorporated during each of these hypnoidal experiences are similar to knowledge acquired during state-dependent learning. And he's talking about Leinhardt, who's a doctor, or wrote, who also had MPD. But she said Leinhardt used her own memories as a basis for the type of trauma that suggests in her dissertation could create MPD. The trauma was for her uncle forcing his beep into her mouth and almost choking her. Well, you know what that I can hear. Okay, forcing his penis into her mouth, almost choking her. This child is not in a position to flee, so the mind dissociates. She happened to experience a common trauma used to split a core. In order to split the core, the mind has to be trained to dissociate, right? So these things, push, pull, love, not love, right? So we see this is directly state-dependent learning as well as the loop programming, right? So it's loop programming where the loop structure, he wants to be loved by Monica. Reality contradicts that. Monica just threw him out in the woods, right? To be hunted by the big moon pedo guys, right? System cannot update. Directive generates workaround. Become a real boy. Continues pursuit indefinitely. So he loops out into going into the bottom of the ocean, frozen, staring at the blue fairy, right? Obsessive loops, trauma, repetition, compulsion. So this is an unfinished emotional loop. It's an unresolved state. It's like you're trying to connect. It's like a hang up, right? But it just keeps going. This is how you get these types of loops. So it is literally, I mean, it's dissociation without escape. With the teddy bear, then you have the aliens. He repeats the same request. He's there looping again and again and again, looking at I want to become real. Frozen in place, mental freezing, time looping, time distortion, suspended loop state. There's not progress. It's an unresolved command. This is how this type of, conditioning or programming works, and how it can work in terms of, even like I mentioned, like attachment theory, and work on a societal wide basis. So, okay. So that's end of my spiel.
All right, here's mine. This is Gertzel. This guy is doing this. This looks like just from the movie. This guy's in the files. He was financed by Epstein. His game was he was on Joe Rogan, who's has to be seen as a known of the Epstein network. And here he is. He runs something called, I forgot the name of it, but he received $100,000 grant right there in 2001. Right, this movie was published.
The year the movie was published.
Yeah. Right. And there he is, 2019. He's talking disturbing. Well, there's a lot more since 2019 has come out. So he's an interesting guy. This guy, Joe Shabak, is also in the Epstein files, cognitive scientist, AI researcher, and philosopher. So it's like cognitive architectures, artificial intelligence, all the stuff we covered in this film. Gertzel has been to Epstein's mansion of hell. He's talking about going to meet them with other people. So
do you mind going back to that previous slide, William? I just want to go through all, because I think this is very important. Like this, what he does is like, this is exactly what we're looking at. If just, do you mind reading those, or that first paragraph?
Sean, if you want to read it, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. All right. So Joe Shabak, BACH, born 21st of December 73, is a German cognitive scientist, AI researcher, and philosopher known for his work on cognitive architectures, artificial intelligence, mental representation, emotion, social modeling, multi-agent systems, and philosophy of mind. Whatever that may be. Philosophy of mind. Okay, anyway. His research aims to bridge cognitive science and AI by studying how human intelligence and consciousness can be modeled computationally. So that's kind of the same as the doctor in this one, Dr. What the fuck is his name? Dr.
What's the actor's name? William
Hurt, right?
Yeah, he was in
Yeah.
Altered States too, which I
Yes!
enjoyed watching. Yeah,
Right. That's a great director too.
is it Patty Chayefsky? Is that who wrote it?
No, the guy. I don't know who wrote it. But the
same guy-
director was
His name wrote it. Patty Chayefsky.
okay.
But just what we
Anyway.
saw right where he conducted research on emotional modeling and artificial minds. So micro-psi, a cognitive architecture designed to simulate human-like reasoning, decision-making progress, exactly what the film was about. This is
Right.
what the guy's working on.
So it's as if this is the character. This is the guy. It's very interesting. Okay, so I'll go on. Bach was born in Weimar, East Germany, and displayed an early interest in philosophy, artificial intelligence, and cognitive science. He received an MA computer science from Humboldt University of Berlin in 2000, a PhD of cognitive science in Osnabrück University in 2006, where he conducted research on emotion modeling and artificial minds. His doctoral work focused on developing micro-psi, a cognitive architecture designed to stimulate human-like reasoning and decision-making processes. So that's what this whole movie is like. They influenced David to come to the place where the lions weep, right? They gave him a little clue. Hey, go to the end of the world where the lions weep. And David's like, oh, that's where I'll find the blue fairy and complete my mission. So David goes. It's not like they told him to go specifically. They gave him some little myth, and he computed that in his artificial mind. After completing his PhD, Bach focused on his research on cognitive architectures and theory of mind. He has held positions in both academic and industrial research, contributing to both theoretical and applied AI. His work frequently explores the boundaries of AI systems, questioning the limits of current machine learning technologies, and addressing how future systems might achieve general intelligence. That's the holy grail for them. Bach has worked in several prestigious institutions, including Martin Nowak's Harvard Program for Evolutionary Dynamics. He has also held research positions at the MIT Media Lab and has served as a vice president of research at AI Foundation, where he has focused on developing AI systems capable of more sophisticated human-like interactions. If you scroll down, it's probably not going to talk about Epstein.
But just at the bottom, it says executive director of the California Institute for Machine Consciousness. So there we go. Okay.
So, and also that other guy that was pictured earlier that William's about to talk about in the next page, that guy is the one who created Sophia.
Right. That was Sophia, I think. Gertzel.
That's from the picture, right? And Sophia is the first artificial human to have citizenship to a country. Saudi Arabia gave citizenship to Sophia the robot. So that's another layer of shit that we got to pile into this. Sorry for all my cussing, everybody. Stuff. But yeah, so Gertzel, and I've got an article, and you can probably bring up the EFTA. I'm sure you probably have it in your list of what the direct talking about the robo baby. All right.
Epstein liked to lure these guys to his lairs, whether it's the island or the mansion. And this is like the email between Groff, who is his assistant, Epstein's assistant, and Gertzel, trying to get him into New York to the 9th East 71st Street. And if you remember our earlier conversation, we talked about civil litigation. They were filming child rape stuff there like crazy. So this is them back and forth. And then they had this list. Also in the Epstein files, he had this kind of thing from Gertzel about engineering general intelligence. So this is a full article. Why it's in there, whether Epstein actually took the time to read through it is something else. But here's like Joe Shabach, I just mentioned, Gertzel, Epstein, bios from Ben Gertzel. but it's not. It's like this whole aspect of AI and electronic or digital consciousness. They're all here. So regarding this Thursday, here are links to CVs. Ben's Coterie, so Penn's group, Ben Goertzel's group, Alexei Popotov, Linus Veptis, Weinbaum, and they go through all these kind of names. It's international. So David Weinbaum, Zarathustra Goertzel, I think that's Goertzel's kid.
Just to interrupt real quick, so the probabilistic programming
named his kid Zarathustra.
But
wow.
But probabilistic programming, this is where you create predictive algorithms for people's behavior, right? You can predict what they're going to do. You get pre-crime, you get social credit, etc. So this is the modeling of either the nudging of someone's behavior, but also the predictive programming. So basically, I guess you wouldn't have to go too far to, for me or something, because I'm the cat that came out of the bag, I guess. but
this is all the stuff. There's Hanson Robotics is a very advanced robotic company that does all this kind of like robotic stuff, like digital humanoids. And there he is, Linus Veptis, and then making AI, and the AGI, I think it stands for artificially generated intelligence. So I think they've shortened the acronym down to just AI. University of Copenhagen, they're back and forth. OpenCog is something run by Goertzel. And there's actually a video of Goertzel, like, he did it within the last week, like talking about Epstein. He's had to have these kind of like confessions. But he's there. He's mentioned, according to AI, that he probably had a hand in creating. He was mentioned in the talk about having AI kind of condemn yourself. The AI that he helped create says he was in the Epstein files 802 times. And the documents show a clear ongoing relationship centered on Epstein providing modest funding for Goertzel's AGI research.
AGI is actually the singularity.
Artificial general intelligence.
So AGI means where the AI now surpasses humanity, and the world is run by AI, right? So one of my students or whatever.
Isn't that the singularity?
Well, AGI is a singularity, right? AGI means it's where the AI is now running Earth. It surpassed humanity, and it's self-generating, so it can continuously go. There's no end to it.
Like the end of this movie. That's how those robots are. It's civilization of robots now, because the humans are gone and they're reproducing themselves and exploring the past and doing all the things that humans do. It's really weird.
The early stuff, this is where the beginnings of AI that we're in now. So the films in 2001, this is 2011, ongoing OpenCog support. Epstein's support was noted as critical at a time when AGI funding was almost impossible to obtain elsewhere, according to SEMP.com. Files link Goertzel to join AGI efforts with Itamar Errol on a proposed robotic AGI toddler project aiming for a 3 to 4 year old level intelligence embodied in robots' virtual worlds, although the core mentions remain funding focused. And I think that Musk is going to roll out like a robot in the next 5 years, that's my understanding. After Epstein's 2008 and 2009 conviction and 2009 release, Goertzel emailed congratulations with a winky face. Epstein replied he was free and home. Get rid of the hippie look, said Epstein to Goertzel. So these guys are like, they deny how close they are to each other, much like Bannon. But they're constantly going back and forth with each other for like a decade.
Do you have the EFTA about the robo sex doll? Do you have that?
I'm sure I can find it. I don't have it offhand.
Here, I can find it if you want. But
there's an article. You can just put it in.
I'm sharing an article about it right now. It has more.
Recorded with money, OpenCog. What is OpenCog? All this stuff. It goes all the way back. This guy Goertzel's very keyed in. And it kind of goes into how they're thinking about cognitive, intelligence, really, on a electronic intelligence. Roadmap, current roadmaps are involved in here. How much funding? Then there's Joshua Box. Other people involved is Minsky, who's mentioned in 2001 Space Opera. I think he's actually mentioned by name in Space Odyssey. But he was also alleged to be somebody that Virginia Giuffre was trafficked to. Joshua Box just mentioned him. Scott Aronson, MIT, and Epstein's involved in all these weird financings with MIT and Harvard. I call this stuff so as a front, but it's interesting. Let me see if I can find that.
Minsky is Macy conferences, cybernetic systems. There, I mean, so this all this.
He's one of the early AI guys.
Yeah.
No question about it.
I mean, of course, they've been talking about AGI coming. I mean, I've had even a couple of years ago, AGI is coming. You know, it's gonna. You know, they have not achieved artificial general intelligence. That got right, but that technically that means that we will be ruled by the AI. The AI will take care of everything on Earth, and we will simply follow what the AI tells us to do. It's not obviously not there yet, but that's the goal, right? You know, so.
Does that article, Sean, have an EFTA number or a link to it? You're muted.
Sorry, I was scrolling to see if I could find it. Here, wait, okay. So, here, wait. Report. I could just read this. Wow, it's pretty long.
I'm getting vertigo, man. I don't know what the article.
Yeah, here
I'll
just look it up with Google. It'll come up if you just put sex robot Epstein sex robot or child sex robot. So I'll just start reading this while you look. Massachusetts. This is from Daily Caller, July 16th, 2025. MIT lab. A MIT lab previously funded in part by Jeffrey Epstein hosted a panel where attendees openly discussed the idea of using child-sized sex robots to treat pedophiles.
Treat? It's like, oh, I'm going to treat you as an alcoholic.
Yeah, like candy.
We're going to, here you go. Here's a full bar, open bar, man.
treat.
Drink as much as you want.
Right.
It'll say all the code words for you for your roommate. My parents are divorced.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it when they say my parents are divorced.
Yeah, that's always the key. That's when Jeffrey Epstein's head turns.
Oh
my God. That's hilarious. To treat pedophiles.
They always send me to summer camp for 3 months.
Oh, man.
They're offering...
All the listeners were listening.
Are they offering a treat to the pedophiles? So keep reading, man. This is great.
The MIT Media Lab's July 2016 conference on research questions without social and moral constraints included a panel arguing that pedophilia should not be seen as a moral failing, but rather a medical condition, and that the development of child-sized sex robots is an inevitability. A transcript and video of the event shows. So those are linked. So the conference has a transcript. Here, I'll do a new tab and a video. Okay, I'll open those and we can...
Frozen Zoo at UC San Diego was viewed as being incredible.
Okay, we don't need to listen to them. I'm going to keep reading it. Okay.
No, that's interesting. The Frozen Zoo. So that's like, I mean, this is, I think we did a show before. I talked about like, what are they called? The bionoids or whatever, where you have these human beings without brains just to harvest their organs, and so that's Frozen Zoo. I mean,
yeah, they grow an ear on a mouse kind of shit. Like,
yeah, dude, Frozen Zoo, forbidden research. You don't mind just play a little bit of this? Cause it reminds me of this,
it's
film.
An 8-hour
rogue with the idea of taking in and cryopreserving endangered species. And they raised that moral hazard argument with them. They said, you're going to take the pressure off of protection.
Okay, it's not what I thought.
People think
it's a bunch of bullshit. So it's all moral relativism. Okay, here we go. Share this tab. Here we go. Okay.
Is this the article you're talking about?
Here, 1 second. No, but that looks
This is the same guy
we should be reading.
This is the same guy. This is the same guy that I just mentioned, Hanson, right here. Hanson.
Okay.
This is
I was talking about
earlier. I did mention him earlier. So this is the article right here.
Okay. So I was talking about Getzel was asking Epstein for funding to build a child robot. And once they have the child robot, they can use that to get more funding. But anyway, what you found is probably even more deep where we can keep reading.
This is it. This is something that there's probably more in here. Expansive API and software will serve as standardized platform for additional AGI research around the world, as well as real world applications.
Oh, development of beautiful female android. Wow,
Yeah.
I can't really read that. Can you? Do you mind?
You can look it up. It's EFTA 027258. I'll put it in the chat.
Can you try to find the Getzel one too? If you look up in the Epstein Getzel, GEOTEZL or whatever, with robot, and he's requesting money to fund to make this child sex robot for pedophiles.
The best way the search function works in the EFTA docs is to get a phrase that's in the documents that is in there. So if you know something specific to that specific document.
Yeah, I did have it saved separately for this show, but I don't know where I didn't prepare for that.
Soul sex robot. See, it doesn't. I see if it pops up under robot.
Yeah, I had it, but I don't know what I did with it. I'll look it up.
It's like the search function on the EFTA docs is so bad. It
on
has
purpose.
to be done intentionally. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep reading that article? I can keep going on that because that was some.
We're at the 2-hour mark. Do you guys want to keep going, or what's your kind of thought? I mean, I don't have anything else other than just riffing.
Well, I like riffing. I would like to keep going. What do you think, Hans?
I'm at your beck and call.
Okay.
Well, just to say that. Well, hey, we looked at this film, and here it is in actual reality, right? And we've looked at some of the mind control stuff, and so here we are, where they're just saying like, and how do you treat, like, what's treat the heroin addict by giving them unlimited heroin? Just, come on. Anyways, good.
So further down, I'm skipping a paragraph, but in quotes. Here said one panelist, once child-sized robots hit the market, which they will, is the use of these robots going to be a healthy outlet for people to express these sexual urges and thus protect children and reduce child abuse? Or is the use of these robots going to encourage, normalize, propagate that behavior? We can't research it because of reporting restrictions. But I do wonder whether they're doing more harm than good in these cases, because as much as people want these sexual urges, the urges, not the act, to be a moral failing, they are a psychological issue. This moral relativism, they're just chopping it all up in little pieces. The issue of normalization, as you brought up, how does that change of society? How does that change of society as a whole? And the acceptance of certain kinds of behavior, another panelist said, while warning about the possibility of the robots being diverted to a black market for entertainment. The next quote, the notion of studying sexual deviance and actual normal humans interacting with these things can provide the basis for a deeper understanding of how that operates. These sickos, man, they should be working for Kinsey. It's the same kind of mentality. Okay. So the previously unreported panel comes to light as the public's gaze once again fixates on Epstein's ties to academia, Wall Street and government amid the Trump administration.
Stop it.
This was made in 25. This was written in 25. This is before the latest Epstein release. So I'm going to see if I can find that.
I think you should stop reading. Trump says it's not true.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You got to stop reading it. Trump says it's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
How do you spell the guy's name? Geotzel? Getzel? Okay.
Yeah, it's Gertzel. Goertzel. Are you talking about the one where he sent something to let's see, OpenCog? The robot toddler, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, I have that.
Good. Awesome. Thank you.
The robot toddler is EFTA 007-00552. And this is it.
Wow, it's not giving me any results. What the? I put
It's
it. Okay.
EFTA 007, so 007 00552.
EFT. Do I have to capitalize EFTA? Wow.
Nope. I'll read it. Hi, Jeffrey. This is from Ben Gertzel. As we discuss, here's a research funding proposal. As you preferred not to give specific guidance on the amount of money to ask for, I stuck with the idea of seeking funding to hire 2 senior guys to add on to the OpenCog Hanson Robotics Hong Kong project. Plus, this is from 2013. Plus a few other extras to accelerate that project, a part-time sysadmin and some new hardware. The price tag of this proposal, about $480K total over 2 years. I realize this far exceeds the modest amounts of funding you've kindly provided to me before, but I figure never venture, never win. This is what I really need to move forward with a high level of effectiveness. My current Hong Kong team is good, but too junior, and I need a couple strong senior Westerners to round out the team. I believe that this money, by early 2015, we can almost surely produce something that will impress you enough to make you want to take the next step and invest, say, $5 million or so in producing the robot toddler over an additional 3-year period. So at that pace, we could plausibly have the robot toddler in 2017, 2018, 2013, 2014 for the currently proposed project, then 3 years after that at 1.5 million a year or so burn rate. And from a robot toddler with common sense understanding of its environment and the corresponding natural language constructions to much more advanced AGI, I believe is not such a large step. Anyway, once we have a robot toddler in hand, funding will not be one of our many problems. Wink, smiley face.
Right, wink, smiley face. We can whore that thing out. Yeah.
Make money like crazy.
Right.
If we get money back. If the 480K is too ambitious for you, obviously any smaller amount would be helpful. 20K would take care of the current corporate contribution payment for the HK government grant. 200K over 2 years would help us add 1 senior staff for the project, which would be very helpful. And we would then seek money for the other senior staff elsewhere. And $40 would buy me a nice dinner. Depending on your level of interest, I can, of course, supply more details either in writing or in conversation. The technical proposal is 11 pages long and fairly scant on scientific details. More details on the design for the critical vision cognition aspect are given here if you're curious. That's his website, it seems. I realize your time is scarce, so I appreciate your willingness to seriously consider this proposal. Thanks, Ben.
Well, Wake the Dead. You can find Wake the Dead on all the podcasters and onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. And my job is the hours are being reduced because it's summertime, and I do have a donation button. Please, if anybody wishes to be generous, I very much need help. And I'm also going to be getting a P.O. box. I'm trying to get that as well so I can have more connection with people, have physical items sent through the mail. That would be really good. So I'm looking forward to that too. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Where can people find you? The Resonant State, right, Hans?
Yep. You can find me in my mom's basement. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There's a conspiracy theorist with a tinfoil hat. Anyways, yeah, you can find me at the Resonant State at at youtube.com. I'm on YouTube, BitChute, Spotify, etc. And it definitely, I want to keep doing it. I did get a little bit disheartened where, I've, certain things even I'd done, and then like someone else does an AI version of it and they got 1 million views, and I got 5 views. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But yeah, please, check me out and give me more motivation to do this. And we can edit this out. Oh, it's live. I'll just say kind of a funny story. It's maybe not that funny. I was going, there's a Brian Jonestown Massacre. It's a band. And I was just experimenting to see, this tin foil, aluminum foil, does it affect, electromagnetic stuff? So I had a hat on it. I had like this aluminum foil thing. I'm going through the metal detector and she's like, what is it? And she's like, this guy is aluminum foil. And there's a whole crowd. They're all laughing. And so I actually had,
At an airport?
No, it was at a concert.
A concert.
At the Newport Music Hall, and they had this whole crowd, and they're just like, "Look at this guy!" They're like, but it does. Actually, aluminum does protect from electromagnetic frequencies. So, and I'm in my own basement, of course. But it does. I mean, it does. I mean, if you want to, it's not fake, right? It's a.
But something new every day.
But that's I shouldn't have brought that up because that's the. But it was just funny that like the guys. And the people I'm with, like, they made a whole scene, like, the people are turning back, and it's like, dude, just let me go. I only did that once. All right, we're done.
Mattia says Nietzsche episode. Check out their stuff, guys. They have other stuff. Like Sean's talking to a lot of survivors and people like that all the time.
Yes, I just talked to Kadaya. And people should. I just spoke with Fiona Barnett. The tech issues were really bad with Fiona, but I have since expanded my internet bandwidth, and I am paying for Zoom now. So hopefully my future podcasts won't be as haggard by tech problems. So look forward to my new ones. They're going to be better. And that's another reason to donate. Please. Thank you.
Wake the Dead, Resonant State. Check them out. Go subscribe to the YouTube channels. I put them up here. Does Hans have a Rumble? I don't know. Do you have a Rumble?
Yes, I have Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, YouTube, and Spotify.
Saxon says Hans's philosophical stuff is brilliant. Check it out, guys. There's a lot of listening stuff. Sharing is caring. Share if you like it, on your social media. Tell your friends. Go, hire a plane and get a banner for your favorite podcasters. We have 350 live listeners, so thanks everybody.
Wow.
And till next time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be here. Who knows? Trump is in power. All right.
Just get your Trump.